all the guitar parts for He Maketh Victorious. These are the actual guitar parts on Badasht Volume 1. We'll try to put an easy version of the song on here too, but this is the version that you're used to hearing. So it's going to be more of an intermediate guitar lesson because it's going to have a lot of intricate little parts and muting and things that you may or may not be used to. So if you want to use this as a primer for learning acoustic guitar playing, that's cool. And if you're already an intermediate player, then you'll find this to be pretty reasonable part. Let's start with the intro. The intro has a drone string. What a drone string is when one string plays no matter what happens on the other strings, okay? In our case, that's going to be the B string, the second string. So we're going to do this. I'm going to play it with my first finger. There's a couple different ways to play this, but let's learn it with our first finger and see if that works. We're going to go like this. On the third string, we're gonna do a glissando from the second to the fourth fret. But what makes it sound cool is the drone string. And that's when you're gonna find out if your guitar's in tune or not. Mine's sounding pretty good today, because they're playing the same note. So if your guitar is even slightly out of tune, that's gonna sound a little weird, but that's what it sounds like. On your right hand, you're making an effort to only play those two strings. You're trying to especially not play the open first string. But I'm also noticing that when I do this, my first finger is actually touching the fourth string a little bit and muting it out. And this is a normal sort of precautionary thing that you do when you're playing guitar. You're always muting things that you don't want to hear. And I would suggest getting good at that early in the process, because, you know, sometimes people don't learn that and they play guitar for 30 years and there's still no muting going on. So you're hearing all kinds of weird extraneous, you know, vibrations and rumbles coming from the guitar, because nothing's being contained and muted. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch the fourth string, but not enough to fret a note, just enough to barely touch it, and we're going to just to contain it. And we're going to slide to the fourth fret. And we're just going to play those two strings. This is really good practice for your right hand. Our second note is going to be at the 7th fret. So it's another slide. It's challenging to keep the second string ringing. Your first finger is going to want to accidentally touch the second string and mute it, but listen to how much worse that sounds. It's like somebody pulled the rug out from under us. We don't want that. We want to hear this. You want that drone string has to keep going the whole time. So make an effort to keep your first finger elevated enough to not touch the second string, okay? And then we're gonna go, again, keeping the second string going is gonna be the big challenge here. Slide from the 7th to the 9th fret, and then play the 11th fret with your second finger. Okay? If these are hard, make little exercises out of them. Okay? If you have that drone string going, it evokes all kinds of cool sounds like bagpipes or strings or accordion or things that you're used to hearing with a little more of a drony sound. I would say hurdy-gurdy would be the best example of that. If you don't know what a hurdy-gurdy is, you're welcome. Go Google that, and you will want a hurdy-gurdy of your very own. Okay, the ending is 11th to 12th fret, doing a hammer-on, and then playing the 11th fret again. And the whole time the drone string drones on. When I first tried to do it just now, I did accidentally mute the second string, so just goes to show you. You can play something 5 million times and then still mess it up. 5,000,001 times. So I'm going to play it really slow. Here we go. Again. I'm going to switch fingers for a minute and see what it feels like on my second finger. I like it, but it squeaks a lot right here because you're moving your whole hand around. You know, I'd rather not hear all that, but I mean, it just feels, I think the best way to get used to it is with the first finger. That's the beginning of the song, okay? The next part is the verse. The verse has a lot going on. Our main chord here is going to be a B chord. It's really neither major nor minor, but it's an implied minor because we're already playing that note, which is a D, and in the key of B, a D makes it minor. And we're gonna sing that note. That's the note of the song. So here comes our chord, all right? 5th string, 1st finger, 2nd fret. That's our bass note. That's B. I'm going to overreach a tiny bit with that finger to mute out the low E string, as usual. Unless I'm trying to play something on this string, I'm muting it out. If I'm not intentionally trying to hear that string, I really want to not hear it at all. So I'm playing a little bit on the pad of my finger, on the 1st finger, to make sure that this gets kind of muted out. Now we're going to go 3rd and 4th finger on the 4th and 3rd strings, respectively, 4th fret, okay? It looks like that, and it sounds like. The idea here is to get the drone string yet again. So we're playing this, but we also have an open 2nd string that's giving us all that kind of twangy, drony goodness, right? I just hit the 1st string. You're not really supposed to do that. That's what it should sound like. And sometimes I'll even move my pick a little closer to the bridge for extra twang factor. You hear that? It's like, so that's our 1st chord. 2nd chord is going to be D, but it's the D that I like to play a lot with no 2nd finger on it, just an open 1st string, so it sounds like this. That's a really good chord for this song, because we're going to go. And we're going to pick that chord. We're not going to strum it. So strum. I'm going to teach you this little pattern. We're going to use it a lot. Down, down, up, up. Okay? Down, down, up, up, down, up. Down, down, up, up, down, up. Let's stay on that for a minute and just loop it. Down, down, up, up, down, up. Now, why would I do that? Why are we doing multiple downs and multiple ups? It's called economy picking because it's economy of motion. You're moving your hand a little less than you normally would if you were just alternate picking. So that's part of it. But part of it is the sound. It sounds a little different too, and it sounds cool. That's the sound you want. So now when we get to that transition, when we hit the D chord, I'm analyzing what I'm doing there. As usual, I'm muting everything out for a half a second by flattening my finger, barely, and getting only that note at first. It's a cool sound. So that pattern that we just did is also on the next chord, which is a G chord, and we're going to keep our two fingers down here for the D chord, and all we're going to do is add our second finger on the low E string. Okay? Muting the fifth string. So down, down, up, up, down. So that's same thing, down, down, up, down. This time we're gonna our last downstroke is gonna be the bass note again, which I'll explain why in a half a second here. Let's play up to this point. Again, slower. So what we're going to do next is a little tricky. We're going to go, so that's a little bass connecting note here. Down, up, down, right? Down, up, down. The last two notes are on the fifth string, right? The reason I say it's tricky is because we're going to do something cool. Oh, when I played that G chord, let me see. I'm trying to figure out. I had my first finger down on that. I shouldn't have. It's not a D over G. It's just these two, just the second finger and the third finger, because what you want. I almost want to go back and re-record this whole thing because of that, but the point is that you're gonna take your first finger off for the G chord. D chord, first finger off. Okay, now let's do our little connector. Okay, the tricky part that I referred to is G chord. For half a second, I'm flattening my finger and muting out all the strings that are ringing. What this does is it gives you a really clear little bass line. Watch closely. Okay? I just touch them and then I play the note. Touch them, play the note. Whoops. Touch, play. Touch, play. So let's play the whole thing so far. So that creates a very professional, tight sound on the guitar. You're just going, okay, and getting a nice, clear little bass connection there. Okay, next. It's that same B chord from before with the drone string in it, although we're not emphasizing that string. We're just really trying to go, we're strumming. That's what it should sound like. So that's the ending. Here's how it connects. You go, and then you play that chord again. And the pattern starts over. So it ends on the same chord that it started on. And the way you differentiate one from the other is by playing this one kind of low key and really playing up the drama on the first one when it loops. Hear all that? Let me play it super slow. Trying not to play this high E string. Sometimes it kind of squeaks out. But really, part of the reason we're not playing that string, I mean, it's not in the chord, okay? But part of the reason we're avoiding it is because we're really going to use it later, okay? First, I'm going to show you a couple things, though. Sometimes when I'm in this chord, before it loops, I'll play a little riff on it, and it goes like this. So that's second string on the, fourth string, right? Second fret to fourth fret. Hammer on, downstroke. And then, that's a downstroke on the third string and an upstroke on the second string. So, I'll play that one more time. Nice twangy little thing there. Another thing I do sometimes on there is I'll play this chord. That's pretty tricky because it's hard to get that slide to stick with the third and fourth finger. I can feel a lot more muscle than I would normally use. It's a nice sound though, really ringy and jangly. So that's some optional things that you can put in there. Now I'm going to show you what happens before we go to part 2, which is sort of like the chorus. All right? So we're going to go. That's the chord. That's the first time we're hearing that string over this B chord. Now the only problem here is that I haven't found an easy way to finger this chord. It is a sort of a B minor 7. It doesn't really have the minor note in it anywhere, but it's implied. And what we're really doing is we're trying to hit these two open strings on top of that. Now my fingers don't really want to stretch to that shape. I think I've trained them over the years to want to do it. If you find a better way to finger this chord, great. You may want to switch these two fingers around. That might give you a little more stretch. There's a lot of ways that you could go about this, but what I'm doing I wish it wasn't as important as it is, because it is really hard to play. If you find that challenging, you are not alone. It's pretty weird on the hand, but boy, does it sound cool. The point of it is to lead to this E chord, and that means we're in the chorus. So this is a big preparatory, like, you know, kind of a little tension builder. And now we're into part 2, chorus. E. That's a little finger off and on thing. Okay? Then we're going to do the G, the jangle G. No first finger, muting the 5th string. 3rd and 4th fingers on the 2nd and 1st string. Everything's on the 3rd fret. The big open G chord. Regular D chord. And I do the little finger thing there sometimes. Let's do it again. It's a lot easier to understand it if you're singing on top of it. So, through the potency of His behest. I don't feel like singing high today. Through the potency of His behest. Second time, doesn't go to D, goes back to the B with the drone string. And then this thing again. Sure wish that was easier to play, but it's not. And then the very last time, to the G, to the D, and then we're going to put a fancy chord in here. This song is only allowed one fancy chord. This is kind of fancy, but this one's really fancy. This is an altered 5 chord, like a jazz chord, really, because what we're doing is it's a sharp 5. It's a 7 sharp 5 chord. And then we're adding the open E string, which makes it, yeah, it's still just a 7 sharp 5 chord. But what's cool about it, is that called a, geez, I'm terrible with this stuff. Probably got a better name. Anyway, that's the chord. 2nd fret, low E string. Nothing on the 5th string, muting it with my 1st finger. 1st finger is fretting the 2nd fret of the 4th string. 2nd and 3rd fingers are both on the 3rd fret, playing the 3rd and 2nd strings. And then this beautiful open note on top. And when you get to it, play it quiet. It's better if you kind of back off the pressure on that one. It shouldn't be like, it's not that kind of thing. It's like this. Very chill. And then we start over. This is where I always tell everybody to sing along, so that when we sing the song the 2nd time through, everybody sings it. People need permission. You got to ask. You got to ask them to sing, and then they'll sing. So that really is the whole song. There's nothing else in the song, because the ending is this again. Oops. One thing I do sometimes, though, that's not on the record is I'll put that high note on there. It's kind of nice when you don't have all of the additional instrumentation and stuff that the album has. If you're just playing it with a guitar by itself, that really gives you a nice ending. And that's the whole song. So go through it slowly, you know, play all this stuff really, really slow. Make sure that you're not trying to play it, you know, at the tempo of the recording or whatever, or, you know, don't learn it the day that you're supposed to go perform it somewhere. This is a little project because, you know, even just the B chord by itself, the fact that you're trying to mute this and the fact that you're trying not to hit that, that's a whole thing right there. Just to be able to get a nice strum going on that chord without any extra stuff, you know, hanging off the edges of it, that alone is a big deal. Getting through this, it feels so good once you get it. Down, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. That part, it feels amazing to play. And then when you get this little, where you touch the strings really fast and then hit the bass note, that makes you feel like a total guitar hero. And then when you get the twang, it's hard to get that twang without hitting the high E string, but you can do it. I believe in you. There it is. And you notice I'm moving my hand closer to the bridge for more twang. And then that's really it. So good luck with that. Leave some comments. Tell us how you're doing with it. Ask any questions that you have, any links to you playing it somewhere, or what have you. And I hope that, you know, playing this song creates a really good experience. People can really sing this one. Like, I've heard communities really open up and let loose and sing this like an anthem, which is an awesome feeling. So, you know, it's good if guitar players are around that know how to really play that part. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks. Hey, it's JB, and we're going to learn the guitar part for If Thou Lovest Me as it's played on the Badasht Volume 2 album. This song has really made the rounds, and there's a million ways people play it, but I just want to show you the original way that it was played, and for anybody who feels like going to the trouble of learning this part, at least you'll have a reference point, a guitar lesson to really nail it. And I'm using all of these as just kind of little guitar lessons in general, also because there's certain techniques and things you need to do to play the song that, you know, give you an opportunity to learn a cool little thing. So this song is definitely one of those. So what we're mostly going to do in this song, the main sort of quote-unquote technique that I want to show you guys is to be able to play rhythm guitar while bouncing your heel of your hand on the bridge, like this. I'm playing in A minor right now, and as you can hear, this is very different sounding. It's like a muted sound, very different than if I take my hand off the bridge and I play it open. It's completely different. It's almost like it goes from nighttime to daytime. You can really hear it. So if I was playing wide, like open, and then I put my hand on the bridge a little bit. Not even tightly, but just a little bit. Basically, it's doing that. But right at the same time that the pick is hitting the strings. And then, if you move your hand slightly closer to the sound hole, it mutes all the way. So you want to find a sweet spot for this. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I just kind of wanted you to get in the mindset that this part of your hand is part of the picture to get this sound. This is the sound of Neil Young, Tom Petty, Stephen Stills, some of the real great steel string guitar players from the kind of folk rock era and the classic rock era. There's a lot of that technique, and that's how you play electric too. You have to control the strings and kind of halfway mute them a lot of the time. I mean, I'd say at least half the time I'm doing that. So that's kind of the main technique that we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and get into the opening riff of the tune. I am going to start on the 3rd string with my 2nd finger, 4th fret. And I'm going to play a note right there and slide it up to the 5th fret. Okay? With a downstroke. And I'm going to play the 5th string open. Okay? Downstrokes, both. And then an upstroke on the open 1st string. So see if you can do that. That's how it starts. So that's going to become a little bit of a pattern that we're going to use for this whole intro. Okay, that's the first time we're clamping down. We're gonna let the pick hit the strings at the same time that the heel of the hand completely chokes the strings. So that's the big mute, which kind of gives you the impression of a drum beat. 1, 2. On the 2, you've got a snare drum, right? That's the vibe you're trying to get. I noticed my hand flattened out. As I'm doing these lessons, I'm noticing a lot of little things that I do. One of them is that when I want the strings to choke out that hard, I flatten my hand. Very gently. I'm not squeezing the neck. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm going... I didn't even know I was doing it until I looked. And there it is. My hand gently touched all of the strings so that nothing comes out. Next, we're going to go on the 3rd string. It's the same way that He Maketh Victorious opens, actually. We're going to go 2nd fret to 4th fret while playing the 2nd string open with it so that it goes... And then we're going to hit the low E. So, and then that same high E. So, okay. Then we're going to go, which is something we've been doing in a couple of different songs, a hammer-on the 3rd string from open to 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. I'm also letting the pick hit the 2nd string a little bit to get that sound, kind of a country-ish sound. And I'm playing the big F, as usual, with my thumb on the bass note and my 3rd and 4th fingers on the 5th and 4th string. Okay, let's just kind of zoom in on that for a minute. So, and that's just a regular C chord, muting the low E with my thumb and a little bit with my third finger by overreaching slightly. So, you notice on the F, we're not hitting that high E string. We're just hitting this. That's the second string. And I am, as usual, muting out the high E string on that big F chord. I'm not really using it. So if you can sharpshoot that upstroke to miss the first string, it sounds a little better. Like that. So all of it, here we go. Really slow and then normal speed. Now, when I hit the C chord, what I'm noticing is that I sort of hit it two different ways. I hit two groups of strings, really. That group, and then, make sure I hit the bass note. So listen closely to that. It's kind of nice to separate the chord, even if it's only on the 4 middle strings, just to separate it into kind of like a low and a high. I always do that. I find myself doing it all the time. And the way I describe it to people is, if you're playing piano, you're going to use your left hand and your right hand, not always at the same time, but kind of alternating between low and high. So, and did you hear that mute? There it is. There's that bounce. Right there on the bridge. Makes it sound great. Let's see if I'm doing it anywhere else. No, I'm only doing it on the C. Let's see if I'm doing anything else. Yes, I am. Okay, number one, when I do this, I'm trying not to hit the second string. I'm trying not to do that. I only want to hear that string by itself. Okay? You may be tempted to hit the second string with it. If you find that you keep doing that, then maybe try to use your second finger to mute it out, just so that it doesn't ring. But it's good for you to learn how to just tag one string at a time if you can. And the other thing that I'm hearing is some little mutes. This is a little bit fancy. If you want to do this, you can try it. You hear that little chick? I'm doing that probably on all of them. I'm almost doing it, and then sometimes you hear it. That may have been slightly exaggerated, but that's the sound. Let's exaggerate it more. It just adds to the rhythm. The exaggeration didn't work. It's quiet. That's the intro, okay? And then we're gonna go A minor, E minor, F, C. And we're going to do our little walk down chords. C to this inversion of G that's really only the 4 middle strings, and it's second finger, 5th string, 2nd fret, open 4th string, open 3rd string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string with your little finger. So C, A minor. That's a very common walk-up. I talk about it in some of the other lessons. you're going to need to be able to do that move. So, okay, so here's what we're doing. We're doing a very muted on the low notes. So if you can play this, then you can play this song. So if that's not coming easily, let's work on that. It's a rock thing. It's very Tom Petty, very Neil Young. You hear how it's really important to get that mute. And then for the chord, I'm lifting my hand off the bridge so that it does ring out. So it's like mute, open, mute, open, mute, open, C. And I'm not really doing it on the C chord. Kind of nice to have a break from all the muting. So we're gonna go. That's what we do there. And then when we sing the verse, if thou lovest me, we're gonna keep playing that. Turn away from thyself. And then eventually we get to the end. It just keeps going. So you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this. So really work on that. Mute, open, mute, open. Because that's most of the song. And then eventually I think we actually hit the C early. So that one comes early. I know it comes in early on the soul version. I think it comes in early on the rock version. I've probably played it enough times that it's starting to merge the two, but that's very Neil Young, very Heart of Gold. And now we're going to play the chorus. The chorus is very easy and really rewarding to play because all you got to do is take that C chord and move it up 2 frets. And we're finally going to play wide open. We're not going to mute at all. We're going to go like this. It's kind of nice if you can even slide up to it. Big F. There, that's important. Big F. And then with our second finger, on, off, on, off. It's like a little internal melody there. When we're playing this this chord, which is a type of a D chord with some extra fancy stuff in there, we're really muting. Listen to how muted that low E string is. Why? Because we want to play it wide open. Oh, son of man. Here comes on, off, on, off. When we play the last big F, we're going to do it without the second finger. And this time, for once, we're going to try to get the high E string in the chord, okay? Hear that? So let's do it again. Wide open. G. Quick G chord. 2, 3, 4. Now, a word about tone. When you're playing single notes, on a guitar, they tend to sound really thin if your pick is perfectly flat to the strings. So what I do instead is I tilt it slightly, get a little more like mid-range and bass out of the note. Here's the note with the pick flat, and here's it, here's with it sideways. Hear the difference? Big and fat, too skinny. So when you're doing these single notes, I would angle your pick down ever so slightly just to get a nice big fat sound. And then when you're playing full chords like this, it actually sounds nice when you flatten it out and try not to get a lot of bass energy out of the strings. I like that to be really, I'll even play it a little closer to the bridge and really get it to sound jangly. Here it comes. That's really the whole song, honestly. And at the end, we have a double chorus where we're going, "Oh, Son of Man. Oh, Son of Man." We do it again. "Oh, Son of Man." And then a big, "Oh, Son of." That's my favorite chord. The big F with the open first and third strings. I use it all the time. I use it way too much. My goal in life is that by the time I die, if somebody plays that chord, you're like, oh, that's the JB chord. It's not going to happen, but wouldn't that be cool? Like when you play this, it's the Hendrix chord. This is the JB chord. Because no one else plays that chord. Anyways, so chicka, chicka. There's a little bit of chicka in there. Doesn't need it. And that is If Thou Lovest Me. So let me know how this is working out for you in the comments. And if you have any links to you playing it out there in the wild, go ahead and let me see it. And just feel free to talk about it and share with us whatever you're experiencing with this music when you use it out there in the world. It's always really fun for us to hear about it. So hope that helps. See you later.